Well, it was an interesting weekend, if you could characterize it that way, Brad. Um, we had a number of games, so I think, without further ado, let's get into it. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. That's Brad. He supports Chelsea, but we're missing someone. Where's Sean? He supports Tottenham.
I don't know. I mean, he's probably too upset to get back on here. He didn't want to hear us talking about Leicester.
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, he did call it. He did call it.
The roller coaster goes on.
Yes. That is something that we will get into here. We, of course, are going to talk about all 10 of the games that were played at the weekend. We do have one little note if you are watching this on time, as you should be, on Wednesday. There is one match that is going to be played. It's just a small match. You probably doesn't have a whole lot of implications, but if you're catching this on Wednesday, you might want to check out around 3 because Arsenal Manchester City play today at 3 p.m. Today being Wednesday. Definitely want to check that out. That it might have a few implications in that match, which we'll have to discuss here based on the results of this weekend. What's up?
It might just decide the table.
It might. You said the table.
Set the table for you.
Before we set the table, let's just do the begging real quick. So if you're if you're new here, if you're stumbling across it, hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell, do all those things. Leave a comment below. Join our Discord. It's in the description. If you're on one of the podcast sites, if you're listening to us audibly, then hit it with a follow. Drop a 5-star review if your platform so allows. And interact with us on Twitter. Send us a message, whatever, all those things. We'd love to hear from you guys. And, if Spotify recommended that you listen to us, thanks. And stick around next week. We really appreciate it. But yeah, so Brad said the table. I mean, I'm down to look at the table. I mean, are you down to look at the table?
Whatever.
All right, let's do it. So we got the table pulled up here. So as you can see, Arsenal still in first position, though they are only on 51 points, and in second position is Manchester City on 48 points. So that gap has shrunk considerably. Manchester United are in third position. They have 2 games played more than Arsenal, 1 game played more than Manchester City, and the 4th place Newcastle United, though Newcastle can't catch them with the game in hand, as they're 5 points behind. Spurs are in sole possession of 5th. Brighton are in 5th, equal on points with Fulham, who are in 7th. Brentford are not far behind in 8th, 1 point behind 6th and 7th, excuse me. Liverpool are up into 9th, and Chelsea are languishing in 10th. The Liverpool-Chelsea, flip-flopping back and forth between 9th and 10th continues into the 24th match week. In the second half of the table, we got Aston Villa. They are in 11th. Crystal Palace is 12th. Leicester City are up to 13th. They may just be alive, not relegated. We'll see. Nottingham Forest is still in 14th. Wolves are in 15th. West Ham are up to 16th. Leeds are technically down into 17th, though that's the same position as last week. 18th is still Everton. 19th is still Bournemouth, and 20th is still Southampton. Those 3 teams are still in jeopardy. No things have changed there except a Southampton manager. The Southampton manager, whatever his name was, who ironically we talked about him like 6 weeks ago, being like, oh yeah, he's probably fine. He's probably safe. He's probably not too much that has to worry about. They gave him a long-term contract, like a 3.5-year deal. They sacked him.
Gone.
So reports are that apparently there might be an American manager that's lined up for that job. Maybe you'll want to stick around until tomorrow. Check back with us on Thursday for our news episode, where I'm sure we will, I'm sure we will take a look at that, who is potentially lined up to fill the Southampton role.
That's a tease.
It was a bit of a tease. I'm trying to weave, everything in together and, encourage friends to tune in tomorrow and Friday when we'll have our preview of Match Week 24.
Yes.
But we should get into the specific results of Match Week 23, break it down, these scores. So kicking off the week on Saturday morning was West Ham and Chelsea in another London derby, consecutive London derbies for Chelsea. That game ends 1-1. Slight bit of controversy that we'll get into. Arsenal Brentford, that game also ended 1-1. Slight bit of controversy. We'll get into that one. Palace Brighton also ends 1-1. Slight bit of controversy in that one as well. Fulham Forest ends 2-0. Your boy, my boy, everyone's boy except for Tottenham, Willian.
The one that flew him here.
Yes. Willian had a wonderful goal in that game. So I thought he was done. I thought he was done when he played for Arsenal for a season and was just no good. But I
think he just hated it at Arsenal.
I don't even know if he hated it. I think that the system was just probably not. He wasn't thriving in that system. And so, he did a very honorable thing by just walking away from the contract to go find better footballing situations. So, I have big respect for Willian. I'm disappointed it didn't work out, but I'm very happy to see him thriving at Fulham. Leicester City, Spurs, that game ends 4-1. Editor's note, Sean did predict a 3-1 Leicester victory in that match. So while he's technically wrong, right, by the letter of the law, he predicted the wrong score. So I think we'll give him half marks for that.
Look, there's enough letter of the laws here that we're wrong that he can get full marks.
Oh, also, there's a slight bit of controversy in that match, which we will get into. Southampton Wolves, that game ends 2-1 for the Wolves. And also, slight bit of controversy in that one that we will get into. Bournemouth Newcastle ends 1-1. Leeds United get the 2-0 victory. City Villa, City win 3-1. And Liverpool Everton, the Merseyside derby. Sean Dyche heading on up to Anfield. That game ends 2-0 for Liverpool. So that's
you know what?
Were there any themes that you noticed
wait.
As I was
we
talking?
We haven't done this in a while, but I got a red card for all of these referees out here.
Bro, where's my book? I don't have it.
You lost your book?
It's somewhere.
I didn't tell you I was doing this, but that's a red card on all of these slight controversies happening here.
Yeah. So
let me dive in.
Yeah. So
we're diving into West Ham Chelsea.
Yeah. Well, let's give a little bit of context. All of these slight controversies, as I've alluded to, have in some way, shape, or form, they relate to VAR. Our good friend VAR at Stockley Park. The boys sitting at the computer monitors. I think all of these calls are from the two referees that this is their job. They don't get on the field anymore. Yeah. They just sit at the computer desk, and this is their job, is to make sure the calls are correct. Yeah, the professional the professional. I need to throw some heavy air quotes in there if you couldn't hear it in my voice on the podcast. But
WWE has more authentic referees than we did this weekend.
Yeah, so let's kick it off at the London Stadium, West Ham United Chelsea. So that game ends 1-1. Great goal from João Felix, who's back from injury, from suspension.
Red card.
Suspension, and very, very nice center forward goal.
Very awesome pass.
Yeah,
great pass, great goal. We also had the ball in the net 4 times in the first 20 minutes.
Well,
3 offside calls.
Legit.
One was a little shaky, but
probably legit.
I don't know about the João. The other one where he kicked it off the post and then picked up the rebound.
Okay.
They called it as him passing it to himself, I guess, but that's it's okay. That's fine. I'm not mad at it. We played really well those first 20 minutes.
You can't be offside. That's obviously not what they called. You can't pass the ball to yourself because you're the one kicking the ball. Like
that's but they put the flag up from where he had kicked the ball and hit the post. They didn't put the flag up from earlier.
That's just when they put it up. Who knows?
No, that's where the ball was kicked from too.
But you can't be offside. Like you can't. If you shoot the ball, if you're in possession of the ball, you can't pass it to yourself, so you can't possibly be offside. Anyway, I digress.
Anyways, so
anything's possible.
After the first 20 minutes, if one of those goals wasn't offsides and we get another one in the net, then this game is a wrap, right? So on Chelsea for not putting to bed our chances, right? Putting this game to bed. 89th minute comes along. Conor Gallagher's breaking down the field, gets some space, takes a shot. Souček, who's already on the ground, puts his hand down like a goalie and saves it. It was a great save from Souček. What position does Souček play?
He's a center back. Oh,
no, he's not. He's a center mid, but he's not a goalie, and he had a great save. Like best save of the game.
In defense of this situation, he was not on the ground. He was going to the ground, and
his body was already on the ground. He was diving like a goalie.
His legs were on the ground. His torso was not on the ground.
Yeah, diving like a goalie.
This
wasn't even looked at. Didn't even send him to the monitor to take a look.
Well, because it's subjective. What we're talking about here is a subjective. Is it the ball playing the hand? Is the hand playing the ball? Is the hand playing the ball, but he is using that hand to support him as he's falling? Like, these are all subjective things. And the referee obviously got a very good look at it on the field. Like, so there's no dispute about whether or not he could see it. And so the referee adjudged that he was falling to the ground. The arm was being used to support him as he falls to the ground, which is allowed. If you're going to the ground and your arm is being used to support you as you fall to the ground and the ball strikes your hand, that's not supposed to be handball. Technically, there's an exception, at least in the application in England, where that's not handball. And Chelsea have benefited from that this season. Thiago had a similar situation, which I argue was worse than this one, where Thiago obviously reaches out as he's falling to the ground.
And he was yellow carded for it.
No, he wasn't. It wasn't even called a foul. Oh, okay.
It was called a foul.
That was the one I thought it should be a red card because he was
called a foul.
But Chelsea there have been situations where Chelsea have benefited from this. The issue with this one, in my opinion, again, my opinion as an Arsenal fan, not as a Chelsea fan, is that there is some gray area here. It's not as black and white as some of the other controversies. I can understand how.
Sure, subjective.
I can understand why you're upset. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think I would.
This is still a bad call.
I would probably be upset as well if it was an Arsenal situation, which is how I tend to judge everything. If it happened to me, would I be upset? So yeah, I think that you have a reason to be upset. But the only thing I would say, the only counterpoint is that there is some gray area here because you have to.
Here's the thing: in the 89th minute, handball in the box, and he's not sent to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, there could be a situation,
subjective or not sent to look at it. That's my issue. If he goes and looks at it and says, "You know what? He was falling and caught himself." Dope, cool, move on. You looked at it twice.
I think part of the issue, though, is that it seems like in England, when the refs are sent to the monitor, it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to overturn the call, right? Like, so. Which I don't necessarily understand. Yeah, it shouldn't be the case.
Like it should be, hey, you should probably take a second look at this. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. You need to take a second look.
Yeah.
But we're also American fans where we're used to replays and challenges and all of those things.
Yeah,
our idea of replay might be wrong in this scenario in accordance to what the Premier League wants. Or what the Premier League is doing.
I mean, this is more.
I think it's the better way of doing it.
I think this is more akin to college football than it is to professional football. American,
I'm with you.
Oblong letters. NFL.
Yes.
So
NCAA
college football. The the reviews are all booth initiated, like referee
Yes.
initiated, essentially. I don't even know if coaches have challenges in college.
Oh, I don't think they do.
And so like and the referees in college are very quick to pull the trigger to review things. Like they review things all the time, it seems like, in college football. So I think it's more akin to that. But the problem with American football and like football, soccer, is that American football is start-stop. It's very intentionally start-stop. So if you take a 40-minute stop in between plays, which is normal, and turn that into a 2-minute stop, while that's abnormal, it's not like, it doesn't break necessarily the flow of the game. Whereas in soccer, if you were to investigate every potential occurrence, like a potential miscall, you could be analyzing things every 5 minutes and it would turn the game to trash. It would be so unwatchable. Soccer would be unwatchable if they had American college football level reviews.
True. And I think the parameters in which VAR is intended to be used right now, that it's still okay to go look at the monitor and be like, nope, I got it right.
That needs to be a cultural thing where the referees need to be empowered to be told to go look at the monitor, but still stick with their call. That needs to be a culture thing. So I agree with you there.
And I'm okay if it's, even if it's a wrong call, as long as they go take that second look and they're like, nope, I was right. Let's go.
Yeah,
I'm cool.
All right, let's turn our attention to another match, Arsenal Brentford. So Arsenal get the lead in like the 70th minute or something like that, 65th minute through Trossard. Trossard gets his first Arsenal goal. Very well, very good goal. If you saw it. He didn't have a lot of time to deal with it, and he takes it very well. Brentford get the equalizer off of a set piece, which, if you ask Arsenal fans, was very questionably given. The foul was questionably given in the first place against Saliba because Ivan Toney had his arms around his back, wrapped Saliba entirely, and Ivan Toney was holding his own arm, like holding his own hands as he wrapped Saliba behind him. So questionable foul in the first place. But then on the ensuing free kick, there were at least 2 instances of offside that neither were called, essentially. So the first one was one of the Brentford players essentially set a pick on Gabriel Mangalas. And he was what appeared to be in an offside position. It was hard to tell because they were so close to each other, Gabriel and the Brentford player, that's hard to see who is off, like who has a body part further forward. So it's okay if you don't call that. But then the more egregious one is on the header. There's a ball played through to Norgard, who then plays the ball back in, and Ivan Toney heads the ball in. Norgard is offside, and it's been confirmed by the PGMOL that he was offside. But the problem was that Lee Mason, Arsenal's boy, Lee Mason, who also adjudged that Martin Odegaard fouled Christian Eriksen in the first Manchester United Arsenal match, which was the first game Arsenal lost this year. Our boy Lee Mason decided that he wasn't going to draw the lines. Essentially, he wasn't going to put the lines on the players to see if Norgard is offside, and so the lines are never drawn. So they're just like looking at it, and they just decide to let the goal stand. I mean, when I'm watching it on the TV, it's hard for me to tell if he's offside or not. But the PGMOL has come out after the fact and said if the lines were applied, then Norgard would have been offside, and the goal should have been disallowed. And so
this was
like
classified as a major error.
That's
from the PGMOL, from the oversight of the referees. This was a major error.
Do you think, Brad, 2 points could be impactful in this season's title race?
Yes.
Okay.
No doubt.
I mean, and I understand we're going to have calls go, like Arsenal are going to have calls go against them. Manchester City are going to have calls against. Manchester City had that terrible Rashford offside thing against Manchester United. So like, I'm not even trying to trying to say that Manchester City haven't been hard done or don't have a right to feel aggrieved about VAR.
But also,
this one was.
Do you think we're more annoyed with these offside calls because of FIFA?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It's like when you play FIFA and you make that pass to a player that's offsides, it's stopped right then and there. He's offsides.
Well, that's kind of like what the semi-automated offside stuff that they had at the World Cup
Right.
clears up for you, right? Like it's just.
And it's in Serie A now too.
Oh,
They put it in 2 weeks ago
Oh, word, Will. You'll have to give us a
after
report.
a huge mess up there.
I mean, Italy had the issue like 3 months ago before the World Cup where they disallowed a Juventus winner in like the 95th minute because they used the wrong camera angle and didn't see that there was a defender that was like obviously keeping the player onside. Like, it was ridiculous. So Italy had its own can of worms. But the thing about that in Italy is like you hear about that like once every couple months, right? Whereas in England, we didn't talk about it for a few weeks, but now we have 5 instances this week of
1 week
screw ups.
Can't draw the line. Okay. What?
So no lines drawn potentially costs Arsenal 2 points. Brentford, I mean, if we're being completely honest, if we judge the game based on like what we saw, Brentford probably deserve a draw in that match. But it's probably a fair result. But Arsenal can feel aggrieved that goal was allowed to stand. Could Brentford have scored again? Probably. I'm not saying that they couldn't. It was like in the 80th minute. Like Brentford had impetus. They were trying to attack, but that goal shouldn't have stood. Okay, Brighton, Crystal Palace, Brighton. Game ends 1-1. This one is interesting because a Brighton player was adjudged by VAR to be offsides. And when you look at the lines that they drew on the VAR screen, he's obviously offside. Quick problem though. They applied the defender, who they chose as the furthest back defender was actually the third furthest from the goal. So there was another person closer to the goal than this person, which kept the Brighton player onside. So if the VAR lines were drawn correctly, the Brighton player would have been onside, and Brighton would have taken a 1-0 lead in like the 30th minute. I don't know if that's worse than Arsenal. I'm not sure which one is worse, like the blatant not drawing the lines or the like brain dead misapplication of who to draw the lines on.
Drawing it wrong. Yeah.
And maybe you guys can tell us in the comments what you guys think is worse. Is it like just not doing your job at all? Just like being 100% derelict and just choosing not to do your job, or just being just like wildly incompetent at doing your job? I'm not sure which one's worse. I don't know. Because like when I look at the still frame of the VAR decision, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. Go back, get on YouTube, pause this video, pull up the NBC highlights, watch them, then come back and finish watching this video. Don't ever not finish the video. You always gotta come back and finish watching our video.
Operation Trick Google. Still in effect.
Always in effect until we're Mr. Beast. Operation Trick Google is in effect. And so like, it's mind boggling.
Hey, so by admitting that if Goihi wasn't the last person, means he'd be about 7 feet tall in the picture.
Yeah. Right? It's just insane. Okay. Leicester Spurs. So I'm not VAR did not decide this match. Leicester City beat the stuffing out of Spurs. Like just absolutely annihilated them. But Spurs' first goal, so Bentancur's goal, Spurs' only goal, Bentancur probably is offside. He is. They give him the benefit of the doubt. I guess it's like the Norway like 10 centimeter rule, or how I don't know how they agreed that he was onside.
If the lines overlap and the blue line is, I think, bigger than the green line, or like one line is bigger than the other line.
The defender line is intentionally bigger.
Correct.
Got it. Yeah. So there's some leeway in there. So he was technically onside. I mean, by the VAR decision, but he looked like he was legally offside. But so he is ruled to be onside. But fast forward to Leicester, what would have been Leicester's fourth goal. Very similar situation, and the Leicester City player Barnes is ruled to be offside. It would have made the game 4-1. Now the game did end 4-1, and Barnes did score the fourth goal. So maybe we're stealing a brace from Barnes, but it looks like it's the same situation. Like it looks very, very similar, very, very close, like barely a toe. And so it's like, okay, well, why did one stand where the other one didn't? Like, not a huge thing, because Leicester still won the game. It has no impact on the game.
Yeah.
But just kind of interesting. And then in the Southampton Wolves game, so do you want to take this one, Brad?
God.
Yeah, take this
All
one.
right. So Lamina is stupid, has a foul that's clearly a yellow, right? 100% a yellow card.
It's like the 9th minute or something, early in the game.
5 minutes later, not even 5 minutes. No, about the 20th minute.
It's a little bit long, yeah.
Yeah, it was like 19th, 20th minute. 5 minutes later, ball's kicked out of bounds, but may have been deflected. And it looks like all of the players come running up to the referee. There's 3 players that come running up to the referee saying like, no, you got this wrong, right? Like what players do. Whether we agree or disagree, that's what they do. They go and they argue with the ref, right?
Everyone does it.
Homie turns around, doesn't really see the 3 players come up, just turns around, sees they're there, and goes, here you go.
Yeah.
Without even like a second thought, like nobody else is talked to, nothing else happens. He's just like, you know what? There's your second yellow, and here's your red. Get off the field.
It's like the 20-something minute, 29th minute, whatever it is. It's really early.
27th minute.
27th minute, he gets his second yellow card. And it's weird because the referee never sees anyone run up to him. He probably hears them, because like these guys are probably yelling at him, being like, well, cursing and doing whatever, but they're professional footballers. That's what everybody does. And he looks at one player, then he looks at Lamina, and he like looks away, and then he looks back and he's like, no, screw this. You're getting your second yellow card. And you're like, why him?
Out of the three
players that chose to run up on you, why him?
We're not going to suggest anything.
I'm not.
But if you watch this highlight,
Ruben Neves kind of brought this up in his post-game comment a little bit. And I'm not trying to make this racial, because he was the only black player that ran up, and he was the black player who was given the yellow card. I don't think that's what it is. I don't think that the ref is racist and was like, oh, black guy, I'm going to yellow card him.
It may also be that his name and face are fresh in the book because he was just yellow carded 5 minutes ago.
And who knows? We don't know what he said. He might have, like, Lamina might have like cursed him out and called him a cheat. Or could have said anything.
Well, you can see his lips from the camera angle, and it's like he's arm. He's like arm, like going for a handball or a deflection that it shouldn't have been Southampton's ball. It should have been Wolves' ball.
It's just
like it's a normal thing that happens like 10 times a game.
Yeah. Whether
it should or shouldn't is a different thing. But like players running up like, no, you got the call wrong. And homie was just like, nah, bump it. Like I didn't watch the rest of the game to see if this happened again. But if this ever happened again during that game and you did not give a card, then this is suspect.
Yeah.
Like you already set that precedent.
Yeah. And
so again, like be consistent.
I've seen the argument that says, if you want players to stop surrounding the referee and stop arguing with the referee, if you just start yellow carding people, they'll stop doing it, which I think is fair. It's definitely true.
Sure.
And I mean, if you do that for like the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, and the players will just stop doing it because they know that they can't get away with it.
Be consistent.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all we're asking for. I don't care if you're good or bad.
Yeah. I just want to know what the strikes are.
Be consistent.
Like I need to know what balls and strikes are. If I can operate around what you think is a foul and what you don't think is a foul, what you think is a yellow card, what you don't think is a yellow card, then I can thrive. I can live with that. But if I have no idea what you're doing, if I have no idea like what the offside rules are, like if I have if I have no idea what the handball rules are, then like how am I supposed to play inside this? So it's kind of unfortunate that we just spent the last 20 minutes talking about about VAR when we could be talking about Leeds, and like Leeds United was a very good game. Leeds played very well in that game, but they end up losing the match, which is essentially the MO of Leeds over the last 10 weeks. So was it Jesse Marsh? Was it just Leeds? Are they not able to kill games off? I guess we'll see over the next couple weeks. And
we forgot the most important one, because we probably wouldn't have we're still getting used to Newcastle being on the top half of the table. But Bournemouth grabbing a point from Newcastle is a huge result for Bournemouth.
Yeah, I mean, it brings them up to what, like 18 points, and so that's
I
think equal on points with
Everton and one behind Leeds. Like that's a huge point.
Yeah, so like they're right there fighting for their survival, and like that's a really good point. Like that's a huge point for them. And we don't even talk about it. We don't talk about Manchester City steamrolling Villa, but Erling Haaland coming off at halftime, right? Like we don't talk about that. So I guess our point is that Premier League. Get your shit together.
We shouldn't have to give the red cards to the refs. Y'all should do it already.
Just please. It's not that difficult. I think we could do VAR.
Probably.
And
do just as good a job.
We're basically baboons when it comes to football.
Yes.
I don't know why any of you guys are tuning into a podcast with us.
But we appreciate you guys for doing that.
And if you could hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell, drop a comment down below if you're still listening. You haven't done those things. If you're on the podcast site, definitely hit it with a follow and a 5-star review.
Real quick before you do this, real quick for what's your prediction for today's game?
Oh, that's a good question. Arsenal are angry. Erling Haaland's 100% going to play. I think this whole he came off injured, he might not play. He's 100% going to play. I think it ends 2-1 Arsenal.
Okay, and we ready for the most fuck it, we're Chelsea match of the season.
Yeah.
We haven't won in 8 games. Dortmund's on an 8-game winning streak. We're winning the game. It's at Dortmund. We're still winning the game.
Yeah. Check back tomorrow.
2-0.
We're gonna
0-2.
We're gonna cover all of the Champions League stuff and all of the Europa League stuff in our news episode this week. So definitely want to check back on Thursday for that. We'll have a preview on Friday of match week 24 stuff. But yeah, like I said earlier, that's KS Brad G on Twitter. I'm at James Tiffany. Our compatriot who's not with us right now is at Whiteheart_Sean. He might make an appearance later in the week. You never know. Collectively, we're at redcard_radio. And definitely check back tomorrow for the news and Friday for the preview. And until then, have a good one.